It's at this time of the year when carp fishing usually begins to grind to a halt. Rods are hung up, tackles cleaned down, and the bitter cold begins to set in. Some anglers turn to other species during the winter months. Some just choose to stay inside and dream about the coming spring. Winter is harsh. The biting cold, the driving rain, short days and long nights. The chances of catching diminish and the motivation to grind it out becomes hard to find. However, every once in a while there are special places which do come into their own and the rewards are there to be had. With a lot of determination, a winter campaign could be one that you'll never forget.
Alan did ask me at the beginning of the year if I was up for fishing a week with him, as he had planned to attend to shows on following weekends. First off there was the Carp and Cat Expo in Hanover, and the following weekend there was a shop day at Eurocup in Gera. So his idea was that I should go and figure out some venues where it would be possible to actually catch a carp in the middle of January. From park lakes to a river and the big natural lakes, we ended up fishing it all. The last destination of our trip, however, was a small stream. What's special about this place is that during the summer month or between spring and late autumn, this stream is actually a reservoir. In fact, it is a more than 300-acre big lake, which makes the whole thing a bit special. All the fish that normally swim in the lake get compressed into a 3.5-mile long stretch of river, a situation none of us ever experienced before. That is why we definitely wanted to give it a go. We hooked up with Tobias, who fished here before and at least roughly knew how to approach the place. That is how our adventure started.
Well, we've just got down to the river, hooked up with Tobias, and yeah, I've been planning to come out and fish this particular water for a good few years now, but things get in the way and it's never happened. I'm finally here and it's everything he's telling me about. It's a very, very big lake that in the winter months, all the water is sucked down into one stream bed, one river. And yeah, we found a lot of carp. Like just through these rushes, you look over the edge. When we first approached the water, there was bow waves everywhere where the fish sort of bolted and spooked off. We stood there just a couple of minutes, the fish have drifted back in again, and I've seen at least a dozen, maybe as many as 15 carp. And one huge one, certainly around the 20-kilo mark. So yeah, without further ado, I'm gonna get the rod sorted out. I'm gonna creep back through there and just literally lower a cultured hook bait in amongst them. Whoa! Job done. Wow, wow, wow. Packing up on the gravel pit this morning, I didn't think it could get any better to have caught a fish from 150 acres in these sorts of conditions, but to then come to the most savage wild river system and catch this mega common. Yeah, big ups Germany. What a fish. After that mega common, we made our way onto the bottom of the drained lake bed. It was truly incredible walking down those steps at the dam wall, onto a wasteland of mud. It felt more like being on the surface of the moon than an empty lake. After walking some 100 metres through the mud, we found an interesting looking area with a decent slack in the flow on the near side bank, and it was here that we decided to set up camp. Having caught one already, I promised the next bite to Thilo. It was certainly a team effort, and it was his turn to experience the sheer power of these carp. Sawn-offs in position and a handful of citrus over the top, it didn't take us long to get another bite. The power of these fish was not to be underestimated. Of course we both wanted a different outcome, but the fish had beaten Thilo, and after taking more than 30 metres of line on its first run, the battle was over and we were the losers. Unfortunately, our time at the river had run out and we had to leave as we had plans to fish another venue for that night. However, we were 100% returning first thing the following morning. The following morning was simply magical. During the night it started to snow, turning the muddy, barren moonscape into a unique and glittering winter wonderland. We had very little time, so decided to fish just for a couple of hours in the same swim we'd started in the day before. One of the reasons was that it was close to the van and we needed a quick getaway so I could get to the airport on time. The second reason was that if we were lucky enough to hook another one, it was remotely easier to actually plan land one here than elsewhere. The flow at this part of the river was that little bit more sensible than down at the dam end. Heavy tractor leads were still needed, and even in the slack, we were using 8 ounces to hold in the flow. Slip D rigs with 35-pound armorling and ultra strong brute hooks with just a single citrus cultured hook bait were the plan of attack. The fish were there, and we needed something super attractive and irresistible to try for another quick bite. To further boost the attraction and ensure the hook stayed super sharp until the rig had settled, we also threaded tiny sticks of citrus fizzing stick mix down the rig and over the hook itself. When the PVA melted, the contents of the stick, along with the cultured hookbait also dissolving, would send a stream of attraction downriver, hopefully pulling the fish back up and onto our hookbait. Cheers, mate. Big one. Yeah. Freezing cold, and we didn't think it was going to happen, even though we've only been here a couple of hours. A lot of rain last night, but it has happened, and it's a mega fish too. The cultured hook bait's hardly dissolved. It's only been in the water about 45 minutes. You can still see all the residue around it. And yeah, a another big winter result. Wow, what a fish. It's my last day today, 6 days of really hard angling, visiting so many different venues of all different types. Yeah, and it's all come good towards the end. Caught some mega fish. Massive big ups to Germany for providing the goods in the depths of winter. Oh, man.
It really had been a mad few days with Thilo. We'd visited some mega venues and caught some memorable fish, but there was one venue which had struck a chord with me. It was that crazy river. If I visit a venue and catch, that's usually it. I'm happy, it's done. But the river was different. It had got me, really got me bad. And it wasn't long before I'd spoken to Thilo and a return trip had been booked. The campaign was underway.
And that is exactly what we did. After the Carp Expo show in Berlin, Thilo, Mark and I drove straight back down to that crazy river. First job was to walk the entire length in search of carp. On the previous trip it hadn't been difficult to find them. Any slacks would contain carp where they would desperately be trying to seek sanctuary from the flow. However, the places we had seen them previously and the places that Tobias had identified on his map were all devoid of fish. Like any river, it constantly evolves and changes, and finding them this time round was anything but easy. With the light rapidly fading, we decided to start in an area in the middle of the drained lake bed. It was a real big walk from the motors, but it was the area where we'd seen most of the disturbance and bow waves after we'd walked the entire stretch. The night passed quietly, and the next morning saw us all up before sunrise, with the decision made that we would split up to cover as much ground as possible. Mark flipped up the drone and after just a few minutes located a decent group of carp down by the dam end. That was the location sorted, so Mark and I headed down there to see if we could get a bite. Well, that didn't take long. Mark put the drone up, I recast the rod, and he's got one on. Pretty instant, Mark.
Brilliant.
Carp? Sick, bruv. Big ups.
We had an idea where they could be.
Yeah, we kind of found him, didn't we? Lass ihn gehen. Ja. Sick, bruv.
That's what them brood hooks are made for.
Brutal fishing.
Yeah, just a minute. Yeah, I would say like 5 minutes ago we recast that rod to some fish we found by cheating with the drone.
It's not cheating?
I don't know.
Good angling.
And yeah, 5 minutes later, the sound that we were waiting for all morning finally appeared, and yeah, this little mirror, which I heard they're very rare here, which makes it even more special. Very pleased with that. Served a wristband from the Carp show. One day you're at the show, next day you're out here catching carps. Should we slowly pack up anyway?
Yeah, let's do it. Let's move. Let's go find Thilo.
Yeah. You proper donkey.
Sorry. I didn't want that rod getting dragged in.
After the first night had passed, Mark, Alan and I split up. Both of them are fishing a bit further down the stream. I walked the banks up here trying to find some fish and managed to find them in the end. Around 20 fish, with this one being one of the biggest of the group. The rod had been in for maybe 10 minutes. Really cool fish in awesome weather. Could not be better.
Whilst Mark and I plugged away down at the dam end, Thilo was much further up the stretch and was absolutely buzzing that he managed to catch his first carp.
Well done.
Did you catch him with someone?
No, Mark did. Nice one? Yeah. It ain't no, I've just seen so many. I've just seen a common like this. Like, not that big, but this round. Like, completely round, not streamlined, like it's gonna pop. A big one. Real big one.
Up here?
Yeah. They're everywhere.
Yeah.
They're everywhere. Yeah, bro. Sick.
He's looking like he's ashamed, like hiding behind.
I'm so big I can't go in the flow. Please, other carp, shelter me from the flow.
Seeing that huge barrel-shaped common really got me fired up. Armed with just the essentials needed to do the night, I made my way back onto the lake bed to the area where I'd seen that monster. My mind was all over the place, imagining what it would be like to hook such a beast. I had a target. Mark and Thilo, on the other hand, went on a mission to try and actively stalk some fish using the bread bomb. But with the fish showing little interest in bread fluttering past them, they too got their gear ready and set up base camp for the night. Before nightfall, I had managed to land 2 lovely commons, but I was fearful that due to all the disturbance, the big one had probably drifted off.
It's been a very challenging day. If the crazy walks, kilometre after kilometre, weren't enough, the fishing wasn't easy. Got breamed out this morning, moved God knows how many times, reposition my rigs every hour or two, but eventually it's come good. I've ended up down here, still in the main part of the lake. Had a small common, about 15 pounds, then got cut off by a fish, then had a bream, and then what I was after, one of the bigger commons. There's a much bigger common down there though. I've seen him. Yeah, he's another 10 pound bigger than this one.
The temperature dropped way below 0 again during the night. It was bitterly cold, and come morning, everything was dusted in a frosty crust of ice.
Got to be upstream. It's just got to hit the surface here and fall back into that net. It's too powerful. Can't drag it up. If it comes up anywhere else, I just can't get to it. I literally need it now. Just like that. Oh, yes! Excellent. Mega carp. Mega, 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 mega carp. Another banging East German river common. Quite a quiet night, had 2 bites, this has been the largest one. Been a great trip all round. Literally got a couple of hours now before we need to head off back up to Berlin. Thilo's going to drop me at the airport.
The second and final night is over. Maybe there's even more to come. Really cool in the middle of the winter, really nice.
After the success of the morning and with the sun now high overhead, things had started looking quieter in terms of fish presence. So we decided to spend the last couple of hours a little closer towards the dam. Mark and I fished on one side whilst Thilo went to the opposite side of the river, fishing a deep hole where the flow had created an eddy on his near side margin. It wasn't long before Thilo had a bite. The spot screamed carp, but sadly, with all the driftwood and snags, it just wasn't meant to be. Then only minutes later, one of my rods was away.
Thilo! What a way to end. Literally had 15 minutes left. Found a group of fish behind 2 big tyres. Loaded in a single culture look back. I didn't even put a stick or a bag on. I love this place. The trip before this was fantastic. Thilo and myself in the depths of winter. And then to come back in the middle of February to have such amazing conditions and to have caught some truly spectacular river carp. Big ups Germany. I cannot wait till next winter to come back and do it all again. What a fish.
Next winter, I couldn't possibly wait that long. As soon as I got back, I spoke to Nashi, checked my diary and booked another visit. The lake was due to refill. I had to get back out there for one last adventure with Thilo. With my flight being massively delayed and my 2-night trip being cut even shorter, I didn't think things could get much worse, only to arrive and see the river in somewhat of a state. But I'd come all this way and I wasn't going to let a bit of extra water and the coldest temperatures yet stop me from at least giving it my all. They say you have to be in it to win it, so it was amazing to have got a bite in such dire conditions. Cold was an understatement, it was almost unbearable, but I had one in the net, how could I not be happy?
Another unbelievable East German common. Didn't think it was going to happen this morning. So much extra water in the river compared to the last time Thilo and I came down here. It is absolutely charging through.
Dan Yeomans had travelled over with me for this session, primarily to give Thilo a helping hand with the filming, but also to free up some of Thilo's time so we could focus more on the fishing for this session. I just knew Thilo was as buzzing as I was to go and track down these carp and actually get fishing. Looking out across that expanse was one hell of a feeling. The place had been kind to us until now, and with just one night remaining, we all wanted to make it one to remember. With a plan formulated, it was back out into the lake bed. With motivation high, not even the rising water level could stop our determination. Fresh rigs prepared, plenty of sticks, and most importantly prior knowledge of the good areas saw us heading out into that final evening in a good mindset and the buzz of anticipation of what might be. Thilo had read the river well and identified a tiny slack next to a channel. It looked perfect. His second rod was placed onto a shallow area more central to the river itself, and although keeping the rig in place was not going to be easy, it was clearly an area where the carp were happy spending their time. My rods were placed into a much deeper slack, with a large ball of citrus sick mix binded with citrus syrup to allow me to mould the mix around the heavy lead, creating a slow breakdown that would hopefully see the carp come up the scent trail and onto the hook bait. That final night was again absolutely freezing, but at least we woke to see the water level dropping back, which in turn had made the fishing that little bit more manageable.
Real crazy night. After the first night of getting wiped out literally every 30 minutes, a change of tactic was in order. And that involved fishing much closer to the margin, basically laying my line down the bank, keeping the lead tucked right and tight in, just to stop the debris from hitting the line, and it worked. Yeah, cultured hook bait in the right spot was very, very productive for me.
But even the cold hadn't stopped the night from being a productive one. Another truly mega fish for Thilo, and another one of the elusive mirrors from the stretch.
Probably my last fish from the river for this winter. I'm mega happy that it is one of the mirrors again. It fought like crazy in the stream. It's a mega cool fish for me and I'm more than happy.
Richtig nice.
Well, 2 bites in a matter of minutes, the other rod's ripping off. Absolute carnage. This is a good one on the end, a real good one. Oh mate, this place. It's a real good one. This place, man! I love it here!
Good for you.
Everything was packed up and the session was coming to a close when all of a sudden I had another crazy take.
Sick bro, mega trip, mega trips. Look at that tail! What a way to end. They've literally started filling the river back up. There's about 1.5 meters of water gone on it in the last half an hour, so that's pretty much a session right off, but what a way to end. I've had the most fantastic winter coming out here. Huge thank you to Daniel, Tobias, Mark Vusen, Vince, of course Thilo. Thilo and I have had a mega little campaign. It's all come to an end too soon though, really. As much as I'd love to get out here one more time before spring finally kicks in, I don't think with work and stuff it's going to happen. So I'm going to say goodbye now and hope I can get back out here again next winter to hook up with all the guys and experience some of East Germany's finest, harshest carp fishing.